So in this tutorial video, I'm going to be recreating my own Isaac 3D spinning wheel. As you can see, mine is not the exact same. I couldn't get the exact same assets as him, so I came up with my own, but still using a similar process of his creation. It really doesn't matter that it's not exactly like his, because you will still learn how to make a 3D spinning wheel, which is the whole goal of this lesson. So create a composition that is 4 seconds. Import the Illustrator file named wheel3d in the folder that I've given you. Make sure it's composition and document size. In order to create something like this, we first need to make the layer 3D and add depth. We then would need to keyframe the rotation to have the wheel spin. So follow my exact steps. Go in the composition and copy the first file over and delete the pre-composed layer. Rasterize the layer by clicking this box so it doesn't lose its quality when you scale it up. First, make sure the anchor point is in the center of the wheel or else this won't work properly. Now pre-compose the layer and name it Wheel 1. Then do it again and name it Wheel 1 3D. Now double click to open the composition and make it 3D. Then center the anchor point once again. If it doesn't work, hold Ctrl on your keyboard, double click this button, the anchor point tool, and then move its position. After you've done that, click P on your keyboard, right-click position, and check separate dimensions. Now hold Alt while clicking the Z position and write index in this box. Switch active camera to custom view 1 so we can see the depth. Keep duplicating your layer until you are satisfied with the thickness of the wheel. Congratulations, you've done the hard part. Go back to the main composition and rasterize the layer by pressing here, and make it 3D. As you can see, when we rotate it, it now has that depth. Once you're here, please, you have to get this right. You need to put the anchor point for the wheel in the exact center. Try to be as accurate as possible because we don't want the wheel moving out of position, so just copy what I'm doing for each wheel. I turned on the proportional grid to be as accurate as possible here. I tried to get these lines to cross exactly in the center of the wheel, and once I was satisfied with it, I moved the anchor point to that position. I'm not going to cut this part out. You should watch me do this to fully understand. You can also skip if you're getting bored. So if you want to copy me exactly and want to stick to these colors, then follow my steps. First, add hue and saturation, and then change it to 30 to 35%. Then add lumetri color and increase the shadows to 10 and blacks to 50. Finally, add deep glow. Reduce the exposure slightly and the threshold. Make radius 300% and spread 35%. Make sure to check this box as well. This is totally optional and you can change the settings if you don't like them. This is totally up to your liking. Now just duplicate this layer, then just move one of the wheels to the right temporarily so they are separated. We will get back to those layers, but for now just hide them. Now we need to create the 3D cylinder bar and make it spin infinitely. Create a black solid and apply the gradient ramp to it. Choose the colors that you want the bar to be. In my case, I will choose a silverish type of color to match the wheels that we have. Now we want to either add a pattern or text to the bar so we can tell that it's actually spinning when we animate it. I've provided you with a pattern in the folder if you want to use it. You can also just get your own from anywhere else. But I will do both. I'll add the pattern and the text, so here's what you need to do. Import the pattern and just scale it up to fit the entire screen if you need to. Change opacity to 10%. Now click this button here and check tile/action safe so we can see these lines. They will be our guide. Now create text and write whatever you want. I'll write subscribe because it honestly doesn't matter how it looks. We just want to learn how to make the animation. You can worry about the looks after. Now rotate it -90 degrees, and if you want, you can duplicate and add many of them. After you've reached this point and it looks something like this, you want to select everything and pre-compose them. Name it cylinder or bar. From here, go to Effect, Perspective, and add the CC cylinder effect. You'll notice that the color has become darker. Do not worry about this for now. We will fix this. Open up the cylinder effect. Set the rotation X to -35 and the rotation Z to 90 degrees. Then Alt-click the stopwatch for rotation Y and type time *100. This will make it rotate forever. I also recommend 25 for radius. This is up to you though. Now we need to fill in this side which is open. To do this, create a new composition 1080 by 1080. You can fill it in with any content you want, but I'll just make it simple and create the same black solid with the gradient ramp effect like I did before. You can also copy over the pattern, but turn the opacity to 30%, then pre-compose them. Next, import it into your main comp and double-click the ellipse tool to make it a circle. Turn it into a 3D layer and adjust the position plus rotational values until it fills the gap. I'm sure you've noticed, but we need to fix the colors, so do what I say to get a nice look. Select the bar, open the light section, change height to 100%. Go down to shading, change ambient to 60, diffuse to 80, and roughness to 0.080. Once again, this is optional and you can play around with it, it won't affect the animation. Finally, let's go back and grab one of our 3D wheels. I recommend hiding the effects for now to prevent lag. Place it under the bar and mess around with the position and rotational values until it looks like it's connected behind the bar. This will take some time doing trial and error, but eventually you will get it. I also unlinked the scale property for the cylinder and reduced the height slightly. Feel free to adjust anything if it looks better than mine. Also, don't forget to adjust the side gap if you're going to do this as well. Before we do the second wheel, we need to match the rotation of the wheel for the side gap. Make a keyframe for the Z value. Go to the end of the composition and change it to -1.5. Easy ease the keyframes by pressing F9 on your keyboard. This will match it almost perfectly. For the second wheel, it's a little bit tricky. Once again, follow the same steps, but make sure it's above your bar layer, or your cylinder, whatever you want to call it. Here, you will have to play with the scale, rotation, and position values until you get it as realistic as possible. Once you've achieved a similar look, rotate it by doing the same thing we did for the side gap. Z value keyframe at the beginning, then at the end make it -1. And now you have a spinning wheel.